And welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of August 4th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old members. Don't forget the Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it. So please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. I'm excited. Why not? It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be alive, and I'm enjoying life. As you can see, I'm using my inversion table a lot. It's making my back feel a lot better. It's weird, though, when I come up from it, I'm not overdoing it. I'm not spending too long in there, but when I come back up from it, I feel my spine actually just like kind of settling and compressing. I guess the discs are so flattened that they, when I decompress them, they kind of like click back together, and it hurts a little bit, but I feel much better after I do a little session. So anyway, I'll give you guys, I know you guys know that I'm super into ergo. That's why I'm at a standing desk right now, and I only use the walking tablet, and that's just trying to get me my back back into shape. No pun intended. Okay. Hope you're excited. You know, I wanted to say something. I wanted to give you just a little bit of a reminder that CG Spectrum, there's an ad up there. There is an ad over there. I wanted to let you know that we still have a little bit of a deal with CG Spectrum. They are offering a discount for KennyRoy.com members who sign up for their courses. They're a small group, but they are pretty powerful. They have just as good teachers, if not better, than any other visual effects online training, and they're actually either it's happened or it's about to happen, but they applied for accreditation, and they're getting it. So they either have it already or just look into it. Go over there and tell them that I sent you, and you can get that discount. If you want to learn about anything other than animation, or even including animation, they have like real legit courses that you can take, and I like the guys there. So just up there or over there is the advertisement. CG Spectrum, check them out. Okay, let's talk about the question. Let's just get into it. Go for it. Here we go. Cool. Great question. All right, so basically here's the issue. When you have a normal rig and the character is looking at that eye target, that in the normal rig setup, there are two targets, one for each eye, that's riding around in a main controller, and you move that main controller and it moves those eye targets around so that your character's eyes look at it. However, if you move it over here, all of a sudden, and even if you turn the head, all of a sudden it's flat. It's flat to the eyes. So the eyes are aiming at something and it's converged. Now in our lecture, or was it a Videomail? I can't remember now, but whenever it was, I talked about how you should be controlling the convergence of your eyes so that you can get like an accurate eye direction. So you don't have someone with like a 1,000-yard stare when they're looking at something that's right here, and you also don't have them cross-eyed when they're supposed to be looking at something that's like way far away. Okay, so being in control of that is super important. So we don't want to be out of control of that. So all of that being said, what you need to do is make it so that the eye target is keeping the the eye control is actually aiming back at the head itself. Now this is something that you can add to your rig testing workflow if you like. I don't think I mentioned this in the how to test a rig lecture, but now that I'm showing it to you, this is a very quick thing that you can do, and it's actually pretty easy to wire up yourself, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so this is for if you ever arrive at a studio and there's a character that has a problem like this, you can make these changes yourself. Okay, so here are, can I change the color of locators? Yes, good. Okay, I'm going to make them magenta. Okay, so you can see them. So they show up. In fact, I'm going to go viewport 2.0. So we can anti-alias this stuff too, if you don't mind. Okay, so here we are. So basically we have our eye controller. We have our two eye aims that can be individually animated, and we have our head, and our eyeballs are parented to that. Now you need to make sure that your eyeballs have the pivot that's centered. Normally I would put them in a group and constrain the group, but this is a very simple setup. So at any rate, if you're having trouble with this, here's how you wire this back up. Normally what happens is you have your target, and then you select your eyeball, and then you go constrain aim. You don't have to do maintain offset because this was created right in line. As you can see, this locator is right on the center of the pivot of the eyeball. So you don't have to do maintain offset. And the way the aim constraint works is the vector is the direction, it's the axis that's aiming. Okay, so the aim vector, this is x, y, and z. So we want 1 on z. That means a weight of 1 on the z-axis, because this is the z-axis and it's positive 1. Okay, right? Positive 1. So we select this and then the I, and then we hit add, and then we do it again over here, hit G, that repeats command. So now when we move this around, the eyes look at it. But like I was saying, let's say we move this over here, all right, next to the head, and we rotate the head, we have a problem because now the eyes are crossed even though they were looking forward before. Okay, so that's a problem. So this is what you need to do. You need to remove those aim constraints because you have to do the constraint on the eye target first. All right, first select the head, make sure that the pivot is centered. Okay, then select that eye target and then do an aim constraint. Now we want the eye target, sorry, the eye control to be aiming -1 in Z, because we want it to be the backwards axis is aiming right at the head. Let's also 0 it first. So that's right in front of it, okay? And then we're going to hit add, okay? So now, if you're watching here, as I move the controller, you see how it actually is like orbiting now, okay? And it gets a little bit funky on the top. Why? Because you can't really aim all 3 axes reliably when you go across the up vector. Basically, wherever the scene is up, that's where it's going to be the funkiest. All right, it sort of is going to use that up vector almost like poles on like a globe. Okay, that's sort of like how it decides how it's going to orbit. So if you go right through the North Pole, it doesn't know really which way to rotate up there. Okay, but it does pretty well. But it does pretty well everywhere else. You see that? Right? But if you go right through the pole, it kind of doesn't know exactly where to do. But that's okay, because your eyes are, in general, are not going to be... sorry about that, are not going to be going over the head very much. So I'm going to 0 this again, okay, so that my eye controls. And then you constrain the eyeballs to these targets. So the general rule is this: you want to constrain the bigger controllers first, and then the smaller controllers as you go in. Okay, so I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to grab the eye and go constrain aim, and make this aim vector of 1, and hit add, and then do the same thing right here, and hit G to repeat command. And now, if I want, I can actually lock and hide selected, and now the cool thing is that all I have to key on this eye controller is the translation, and the rotation is automatically taken care of. You see, as I turn the head, see, it's perfect. It's automatically taken care of by that constraint. Okay. Another thing that is kind of cool about this is that because these are parented, these individual eye controls, you still have the kind of control that you need to make a little bit of, little adjustments to your eye lines with this. Okay. So I don't really know why it's not standard practice to make the eye control aimed back towards the head. It's not really standard practice. And I haven't looked through all of the rigs that I have access to, but not very many of them have this. And it's a little bit weird, if you ask me, that they don't have something like this. Now, again, this won't work for all situations in that, like, for instance, well, this character ostensibly could look straight up. If you think about it, he could look straight up. You'd have a little bit of problem getting that, though. Yeah. But in most cases, and for general use, you can use this to take a little bit of the time off of your plate, hand rotating that controller back towards there. So go ahead, and if you're working at a studio, show your rigger what you'd like your eyes to do, and maybe they can figure out a way to even like get away with some more of these use cases where the eyes are going over the head. But in general, this is a good way to take a little bit off of your plate in terms of animating the eyes, not having to rotate those controls. So that was a really cool question. I like it when it's like kind of like a little bit of a technical thing, and I hope you got a little bit out of this. Remember, workflow, guys. When you sit down at a studio for the first time, it's your job to let the riggers know exactly what you need as an animator. So maybe check out the How to Correctly Test a Rig lecture and the Proper Project Setup lecture for a little bit more tips on how to be sort of like a thinking, pipeline-y kind of animator that's going to help everybody out at the studio. You want to be the hero. You don't want to be causing problems. You want to be solving problems, all right, in general. All right, so that was a great question. Remember to send your questions. I love to get more. Webmasterkennyroy.com. I go through all of them, and trust me, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If there is, I've already asked it, so you're late to the party. Okay, it's been a lot of fun. I'm Kenny Roy. Thanks a lot. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.